Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, doing a very impromptu review because I've had COVID. So I didn't get to review last week's episode, and apparently I didn't do it for the week after before that either. So episodes 4 and 5, I wanted to get out before the finale hit. Hi, Cub. My daughter is here. I'm being lit up by my brand new NeoPixel Darksaber, which has been amazing. And it's obvious, as you can see, not at home, like COVID. It sucks. So wanted to do the last two episodes 4 and episode 5, which is really funny because I could have sworn I did 4, and I feel like I did, and I just never uploaded it, and I ended up deleting it because I assumed I did, because I'm like, I could have sworn I talked about it. But I'm gonna do my best to just kind of shoot through 4 and 5 before we hit the finale tomorrow. So 4, I actually loved. I'm like the one person that loved that episode. Everybody was like, it's a filler episode. It didn't do anything. I was definitely annoyed by Reva by the end of that episode because I was like, that episode 4, 100% was the moment they should have been like, okay, here's her backstory. They could have even done it where this episode, or I should say episode 5, was where we got the visuals for the flashback, but episode 4 could have easily been where she said, I was betrayed by the Jedi. She didn't even have to go into specifics because everyone already assumed, but even without the assumption that that was her during Order 66 in the opening scene, even without that, they easily could have just been like, I was kind of let down by the Jedi. I know exactly what it's like. These people are like the remnants of the people that already failed me, and they're currently failing you. And I thought they easily could have done that. And hi, Cub, you want to be in it? Yep. Yeah. Say hi. Great. So I felt like they could have at least talked about it because I'm like, it's been 4 episodes, and she hasn't done anything until episode 5. She hadn't done anything cool enough. Her coolest moment in the whole series, to me at least, was the first episode when she chopped that lady's hands off. And I was like, that was super cool. Other than that, she has done nothing. She had the crappy parkour moments, whatever. But it's not like, I see him. But it's not like she got into a fight. It's not like she fought a random person and killed people. It's not like she was fighting, the random useless people per episode and she was slicing people down. She did nothing but complain and chase Kenobi, and she kept failing, but also like half failing. So it was like, not really enjoying that. So I was annoyed by the end of episode 4 because they didn't do the flashback. Ooh, indeed. And so I was like, all right, aside from that, and there was definitely some stuff like this, the scene with the water, him not getting wet, I totally understand why that was an issue, because it was. I thought for sure, I was like, they're definitely going to do it. They're going to do the super speed run, but they didn't do it. But I loved it because personally, I thought the point of episode 4, because everyone called it a filler, where it was like it didn't do anything. For me, the whole point of that episode was Obi-Wan officially becoming Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, it was the antithesis of like episodes 1 and 2, where he didn't want to save Leia. It was like, I'm on Tatooine, like I'm here. No. And that was like his whole thing. And then the beginning of episode 4, he's like, I have to save her. I'll go by myself. He was like, just give me a ship, I'll leave. And then Tila, I want to say was her name. Gonna drop your cub. Yeah. Okay, thank goodness. But she was like, I'll join you. I was like, oh, she's toast. But she lives through at least episode 4. But that whole episode, I was like, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi coming back. Like, he's like, I want to help her. I have to help her. I can't leave her alone. And then he got into the Force powers. Because at first it was like, okay, he's deflecting a couple things. And then it was like, okay, it's jagged at first. And then it's starting to get a little smooth. And then he's just flipping, and he's just spinning. And then I knew he was back, and I was super happy. Everyone was already dead. Everybody's gone. He did the unnecessary spin for like half a second. He did the unnecessary spin, and he held it. And I was like, Obi-Wan Kenobi's back. That was it. Unnecessary spin, 100% Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I loved it personally. I actually was like, episode 4 I thought was fantastic, and everyone hates it. I'm like the only person on earth that was like, that was a great episode. Because for me, it was the Obi-Wan stuff. Now, do not get me wrong. The water thing I noticed. Her slapping, I did see the episode while I was high. So her slapping the stormtrooper and hitting him, I did notice it for half a second. Even while I was high, I was like, huh. But the scene kept going, and so I just didn't think much of it. But even I noticed that, where it was like, she kind of just smacked him in the face, and then they got out. But then, the end of the episode, where he totally wasn't 2 people in a trench coat, I was like, okay. And all I could do was laugh, because I'm like, this is just dumb. It was like, aside from the beard, it was like, I didn't even think about the beard and all that, him being unkempt. All irrelevant, because he was a man with a child in a trench coat. It is so effing hot here. You can probably see the sweat coming off me. I love when it's hot, and I have COVID. But it's a man with a child in a trench coat, and it was so dumb. It was just so dumb. It didn't make any sense. And now I know I talked about this. I did this review and I just never uploaded it. It's funny. But I enjoyed the episode. There were a lot of cool little moments where it was like, oh, this might happen, that might happen. Ultimately, they get in, they get the girl, they get out. Had a great moment where Obi-Wan Kenobi officially seems like he's coming back, and that was cool. Vader had an epic sequence at the end where it was like of course, where he goes in and he just chokes Reva, and it was like, oh, this is sick. Like a ton of people said, I thought, it makes a lot of sense. All right, I gotta take this, and you're gonna be mad. Thank you. Hey. So I thought for sure it was like, okay, he let her go. Doesn't feel like a Vader thing. And he couldn't kill the brother, because I was like, that was one of those moments where the boss was super pissed off, but he doesn't kill the person who has plot armor, and then someone next to them says like one minute little thing, and then they're like, okay, and then they kill that other person. But they couldn't do that because he's in Rebels. So I was like, that's definitely one of those moments where if Vader had killed someone else, it would have been like, all right, at least he killed somebody. But then they couldn't do that because the people in there were protected, or at least the one person actually said something was protected. Like if the random, I think the other sister was in there. If she had said something, they easily could have cut her down and been like, oh, well, she's gone. And then it'd been like, okay, he didn't kill the person that everyone would have thought he'd kill, like, instantly without even questioning it. But God, come on. But he could have killed someone, but he doesn't. And so it was just like, okay, they took out, snow speeders. Dang, I forgot the name. Another reason I know that I did this and never uploaded it, because I looked it up. I think it's AT-47 or something like that. But that was cool to see those. Like, this isn't Hoth, but it's great to see recognition there. So episode 4, I personally loved, but I'm like the one person on earth that did. So it was weird. Episode 5 hits. Cub, really? Episode 5 hits, and it was kind of like that. Boom. Pre-Attack of the Clones. Like, it was like Rat Braid. I don't know what the deal was with them, like, kind of doing CG. It seemed like they sort of did CG, because I was like, it seems like his face is oddly smooth, but clearly he's not 19-year-old Anakin. So it was weird, because I'm like, it looks like they did try the de-aging, but, Cub, hey, there's some music or something. Children. Joyce. I'll just take this bottom half. Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu. Okay. Episode 5, though. Great flashback. Love the choreography. I mean, everybody hated it for episode 3, and I was like, that was it. They were like it was like back in the prequels instantly. They fought, and they were moving and spinning, and they were also oddly violent, where I was like, I know they're using the Force, so it's like, okay, he's gonna go high, I'm gonna go low. Or, at least in Obi-Wan's case, Anakin's the one kind of coming after him, so he's like, I can tell he's about to go low, so I'll just do a pointless high swing, because all he had to do was dodge, but he chose to swing. So I was like, okay, they're using the Force, but it really seemed like Anakin was going at it, because that's an Anakin thing. And I'm like, is that just how they train all the time? Because there are a lot of moments where I'm like, it's weird that this is training, but it doesn't feel that different from episode 3. Like, it was interesting to watch. But I loved the actual choreography for it. They were just on it again. And I was like, this is absolutely phenomenal. And so them cutting back and forth through the battle, kind of a classic thing where it's like, this is something from the past where they use this battle to show how the characters are the same. But then by the end, they show how the characters are different. Because Obi-Wan, although he does use his technique of being like, you don't have to fight in order to win a fight, he also did something that wasn't very Jedi-like, where it was like, clearly, he learns, the backstory of Reva, and it was just kind of like, he sent her to die. He wasn't like, let's team up and, take down Vader. He was like, you've been trying to get this, I'm bringing him to you. And I'm going to leave, though. I'm going to leave with everybody else, but I know you got this. And he knows Anakin. It doesn't matter if it's Vader or Anakin. He knows who he sent her to fight. And I'm just like, that was effed up. But he was like, whatever. And so he left. And I'm just like, he sent her to die, plain and simple. But Vader comes in, and instead of killing her, he basically tortures her in one of the greatest moments he's had, for sure. She's coming at him. He disrespects her so hard, he doesn't even utilize his own lightsaber. He already had the cool Force Unleashed moment. He grabs the ship, pulls it down, rips it open. As everyone has said on the internet, he must have been on cooldown because ship number 2 took off, and he was just like, dang. And it just flies away. So there's little things that they could easily have done. She could have just attacked him as he was about to get the second ship. Boom. No continuity error. Aside from the fact that there was never a second ship in that entire episode. Other than that, helps with the ending continuity errors, where it's like, oh, he just stopped. He just stopped for no reason. Like, he brought a ship out of the sky, ripped it open, amazing sequence, sees the second ship through the window. They just take off, and he just looks. It's like, just have Reva come right at him, have him grab the second ship, but she comes at him, and so he just moves his hand and is like, all right, I'm gonna deal with this that's right in front of me. He could technically do both because, it's Vader for sure, but I could at least give that a pass, where if it was like, he's holding it and she comes at him, and then he's distracted, sure. But that ending sequence was pretty sick, and she was just like, I'm gonna dodge, I'm gonna use some force powers, I'm gonna even slow down the actual speed of your lightsaber, and just break it in half. And then I thought it was like, oh, well, it's over. I wasn't the only person that thought this because I saw this online too. He had the 2 lightsabers and she was bent down. I was like, dang, Count Dooku part 2. But he doesn't do that. Instead, he disrespects her by giving her back half of her lightsaber and saying, okay, I used the Force, I dodged a bunch, but now I guess I'll actually kind of fight back. Like, it's not really Vader fighting back. Vader doesn't have to fight back. It's like, she's not a challenge for him. But it was amazing. It was still fantastic. And she thought, some part of her must have thought there was a chance. Even after he gave her the lightsaber back, I would have been like, you know what? Nah. Like, clearly, I'm out of my league. Like, you didn't even pull out your own lightsaber. That's how little you see me. You broke my lightsaber and gave half of it back. I think I'm good. You can just chop my head off or whatever, because this ain't happening. Like, it's over. But she tried, and of course she lost. And he ends up revealing that he knew the entire time that she was alive. Even when she was a youngling, he let her live and was like, oh, I could tell you were alive, and I let it go. And then he stabs her the same way he stabbed her before, and so she falls over and he doesn't kill her. And then Grand Inquisitor comes in. He's like, yep, I am going to be in Rebels. Fuck you, let me just pick this pin right up. All right, see ya, let's leave. And that's what they do. They just leave her alone. And then, of course, she finds the ultimate information. Who knows what's going to happen in this next episode? Reva is supposed to have her own show, apparently, so it means whatever it means. I'm very curious about this finale, but I enjoyed both episodes. Like I said, I was like the only person on Earth that liked episode 4, but episode 5 I really enjoyed as well. Love the action for sure. Tila is dead. That's unfortunate. The droid died. That also really sucked. But love to see a bunch of stormtroopers get shot down. That was cool. Something you don't get to see a ton of, so that was nice. They miss a lot. What a surprise, because there were so many of them. I know that they were in a choke point, so technically only like a couple could shoot, because everyone in the background, if they shot, they would have just shot the other stormtrooper. So obviously only like 3 or 4 could shoot at a time. But man, they suck. They really just suck at shooting all the time. It's really funny to see it. But love the choreography. Love the choreography of the flashback. The ending fight is what I meant when I first said love the choreography. But ending fight was awesome. The flashback sequence was really great. And then them kind of going through the characters being who they are, and then Obi-Wan kind of doing something that's not really Jedi-like, and then Vader showing that he played the long game, at least with Reva, or Reva. I still don't remember exactly how to pronounce her name, but it showed that he can be patient in some regards. He knew what was going on with her the whole time, and a lot of people thought it didn't make any sense why he would let her live, or how she could do what she'd done and think that she was still like the hero. I thought it made perfect sense. It's the classic, it's almost Stockholm Syndrome a little bit, but it's like the classic thing of, you make a deal with the devil to defeat the devil, but it's like the devil's already at the top. Like you can't surpass the guy at the top, but you think you can, and she'll do anything that she can, which includes being evil, being vindictive. Her vengeance, the coolest thing she did for me, first episode, she chopped a random lady's hand off just for talking. And it's like, this is the person who was like, I'm gonna get revenge for what happened to all those heroes who died, all the Jedi and the younglings who died. And it's like, oh yeah, you got corrupted. Like, classic dark side sort of maneuver. Like, you've been corrupted, you just don't realize it. So personally, I enjoyed that, and I thought it made a lot of sense, where it was like, she had this concept where it's like, this is what I've been doing all of this for, and it's like, yeah, but you're still a shit person for doing all of those things, and it's been a long time before she finally took her chance to take out Vader. She did a lot of stuff before that happened, so it was like, I like the way it was handled. Who the F knows? I personally, I never hated her character, but I never cared about her character that much either. And we'll see what happens in this final episode. Everyone always assumed that she was going to end up becoming a hero anyway, or at least turning. I don't think she's going to be a hero, because a lot of people mention like her having redemption. I don't think they'll do that. At the very least, I'm excited to say that I don't believe that. I think they're going to keep her as a character that's kind of shitty, but in the middle it was like, dang, she's going to have to go through the concept of being like, oh, no, I was just the bad guy. It doesn't matter what my end goal was. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, that sort of deal. So we'll see what happens, because she is supposed to be getting her own show. I'm very curious how that's going to play out with her having the information about Luke being on Tatooine. and what in the world that means. I love also Obi-Wan at the end freaking out and then being like, I'm sure it's nothing. And so we'll see what happens. I hope we get a decently long episode for the finale because it seems like they have a lot to do. I would assume, still getting Obi-Wan versus Vader, because otherwise the whole, I was but the learner but now I'm the master thing doesn't really apply. Everybody said that, which I always assumed that they were going to fight anyway. But now I'm super curious, like, well, how are they going to end up randomly meeting up again? So they'll probably end up just tracking them down like normal, and then Vader and Obi-Wan will have like their final fight. Who knows where Reva plays into that and her being at Tatooine, so maybe we'll have a couple of crazy fights, in this show. But Reva's supposed to be getting her own thing, so she's not gonna die. So who knows what's gonna happen? Those are my thoughts on episodes 4 and 5. Personally, really love 4. I actually really like 5, but mostly just like the flashback in the end. The rest of the episode I thought was just entertaining, but I actually loved 4. I love seeing Obi-Wan come back. So it's kind of funny to me that that's the episode where I'm like, that's one of my favorites. It might actually be my favorite just because of Obi-Wan's actual story. But then I totally understand like the elements around it are why people completely despise that episode. I didn't find it as filler, mostly because Obi-Wan I felt was the crux. Like, even though he was going on a mission to get Leia again, I personally felt like it's Obi-Wan coming back, and that's the point. But that's my thoughts on it. We'd love to know your thoughts on episodes 4 and 5. Theories, of course, for the finale, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. I'm excited for episode 6. Hopefully it's a long one. That's really all we can truly hope for, is that we just get enough time with these characters in this last episode, which may or may not be the last if we do end up being in season 2. Who knows? But that's what I think about the episodes. Like I said, I want to know what you guys think, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.